Basically, to begin my story, as far as I remember, I was laying down on my couch at home and was out for several days of school because I was feeling sick. I ended up having the flu.
Which now we call the H1N1 flu at the beginning of October. For the first few days, he was just like everybody else, didn't feel good, just achy and miserable. But after about 4 or 5 days, he just started acting really strange. He was talking gibberish and not acting right, so we took him to the emergency room. We'd been to the doctor several times, throughout the week to make sure he was doing okay, but this was just a big change.
I ended up getting rushed to the hospital. Everything was a daze because how low my oxygen was, and I was asleep for most of the time.
And so when we got to the emergency room, we found out that he had developed pneumonia, and his oxygen level was terrible. So they transported him by ambulance to Children's Mercy. When we got to Children's Mercy, we found out that not only had he developed pneumonia, he was also septic. His kidneys and his liver were shutting down, and they put him on a ventilator at Children's Mercy, and it was not able to keep him with enough oxygen. They switched him to a different ventilator, but it needed to breathe for him, so they had to put him in a medically induced coma, and they gave him a medication that paralyzed his ability to breathe so that the ventilator could breathe for him.
What I do remember is being in and out of consciousness, the very strange feelings, and don't know what's a dream, what isn't a dream. I felt the tube down my throat, and it would cause my gag reflex to happen, and I couldn't do anything about it because I couldn't move, but you don't understand.
As a parent, your job is to protect them and to make sure that they're okay, and there is absolutely nothing you can do. You feel absolutely helpless. You feel really desperate. You're hoping that, they'll turn that machine down one notch, and one notch is a big victory. We thought maybe a couple days on a ventilator. Nobody ever thought 15 days on a ventilator. When we were at our emergency room, the last thing that Wyatt said before they put the tube down his throat was, "Please don't leave me." So I had to be there. You couldn't leave, had to stay in the room because you promised. We spent just short of 30 days in the hospital, and then he was released home with a walker. So my 14-year-old couldn't walk by himself, had to have a walker and somebody walk with him. And he did physical and occupational therapy for about a month or so. And then he was a freshman in high school. You had to figure out how to get back into school. And if you don't go back to school, you're going to have to repeat that year. So he started going 1 hour of school at a time.
And then I ended up going 2 hours and then 3 hours and just basically went through the classes.
When he started back to school, we were only doing one class a day, and he was trying to spread out, so he would go to this class today and this class tomorrow, and it was almost assumed that you were normal, so they would send back the normal amounts of homework that you would if you were seeing all these classes all day long, and so trying to struggle to keep up with the homework.
I did make it through the grade, through all the hard work that I did make it through. It was a real struggle, but thanks to all my teachers and everything, I did a very good job and made it through and didn't get held back and stayed with my friends.
Get your flu shot, because even if it isn't a good match, it'll at least help. There are a lot of people who are maybe needle phobic and don't want to get that shot, but I can promise you this is not something you ever want to go through as a parent.